Welcome back. We are going to be in a different passage of Scripture, a different book of the Bible, but we're going to still wrestle with the same question we've been looking at the last few days. And that is, what resources has God given us as Christians to deal with the suffering in our life, in our individual life, but also in the world that we live in? So today we're going to be in Daniel chapter 3, and it's a familiar story. To you, I think probably. It's the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and how they go into the fiery furnace. But I think it has a powerful perspective that will help us as we face suffering in our own life. So just to set it up, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon has told everybody in his kingdom they must bow down and worship this golden image. And if they don't, they'll go into the fiery furnace. Well, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they don't make their disobedience to the king a big thing. They're very discreet, but the reality is they won't bow down and worship that image. They only bow down to God. Well, Nebuchadnezzar finds out. He calls them in. He gives them an ultimatum: bow down or into the furnace. They say, we're not going to do it. Now we're going to read Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego's response, but as we read it, I just want you to pay attention to how calm it is, how poised they are in this moment. You don't get the sense of panic or fear at all. So, all right, listen, verse 16. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied to him, King Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you in this matter. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it, and he will deliver us from your majesty's hand. But even if he does not, we want you to know, your majesty, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold that you have set up. Wow. I mean, they're humble, and yet they speak the truth. Here the king has told them, if you bow down, great. If not, into the furnace. And they're like, well, okay, we might be going into the furnace, and God may very well save us. But even if he doesn't, we're not bowing down to those images. There's a sense here in which Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego have found something better than life, and that is following God. Their hope is in God, and that is better than life. And not only that, but they don't put any demands upon God. They don't say, God, I'll serve you if you keep me out of the furnace, if you save me from the furnace. They know that they may very well die in that fiery furnace. They're probably counting on it, probably figuring that they will. But they're not going to bow down and serve the gods of Nebuchadnezzar. Their worship is reserved for the one true God. When you get comfortable with death, when you find something better than life, and that's God, when you don't put demands or restrictions upon your worship of God, when you say, God, I'm all yours no matter what comes my way, man, that frees you. It frees you from worry and anxiety and fear. It frees you to live for God with a sense of almost abandoned, at least abandoned of holding on to all the things in this world, thinking that they are what bring you life. See, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they have this sense that God is in control. And maybe they live and maybe they die, but that's up for God to determine. And if you just kind of think through this with them, they say, the God we serve, yeah, that's the God who spoke the world into creation. That's the God who saved the people from Egypt and slavery. That's the God who delivered them through the Red Sea. That's the God who tumbled the walls of Jericho. That's the God we serve. He's the God of power. And it's the God we serve. Nebuchadnezzar, we do not serve you. We do not serve this kingdom. We have a greater kingdom that we're a part of. We serve the living and true God. And he's able to save us. He's able to save us from this fire. Sure, he saved his people over the years from all kinds of things. He created fire, Nebuchadnezzar. But we don't know what he's going to do in this situation. And we want his will more than our will. We're willing to submit to him, even if it means death. See, you don't want to be loved by someone else because of what you can do for them, right? You just want to be loved for who you are. Well, the same as God. We don't really love God if all we do is love him if he does good things for us, if he protects us, if he protects our family, if he keeps us safe. If that's the only reason we love God, we don't really love him. We just love what he does for us. But what if we really just love God regardless of what happens in our life? And the reality is that we don't know what will happen. In Acts chapter 12, you see two of the apostles, Peter and James. James dies at the sword at the hands of Herod. Peter is allowed to escape from jail. God causes this big earthquake and he's freed. So here we have two apostles, two people that love God, two people that served God. One dies at the hands of Herod, one is set free. Why? I don't know. But what we see is that we need to surrender to God, knowing that we might experience the Peter thing of being set free, or we might experience the James thing of having to undergo death. But we've found something better than life, and that is following God. Maybe today you could just write out your demands on God. God, I'll serve you if. Is it safety? Is it health? Is it wealth? Is it your 401k? Is it things going well in relationships? Is it that you'll get married someday? Is it that you'll, have kids? What is it? And then I wonder if you could just take that and tear it all up and say, God, I submit, I surrender all these things to you. Whatever comes my way, whatever it is, maybe I die, maybe I'm sick, maybe my family falls apart, maybe I never get married and I wanted to be, or maybe my marriage never improves, or maybe I don't have kids, whatever it is. But God, I'm yours. I'm all yours. I'm following you. I'm worshiping you and you alone. There's a lot of freedom when you can say that to God. Thanks for joining us. See you tomorrow.